All right, everybody. Welcome and thanks for tuning in to Underrated Team League Season 2. We have for you a match tonight, Clarity Gaming versus XO Gaming. I am Word. With me here is Tough. How's it going, man?
It's going great, Word. And how are you?
I'm fantastic. Everything I own is currently in boxes because I'm moving tomorrow, except for my lovely computer here. She's going to stay out tonight and tomorrow night for the Clarity Academy show match. But after that, let's pack it up. Going to move on to a new area. But for tonight, I'm in the zone. I'm in the moment. I'm locked into this little square here, and I'm ready to start off this excellent URTL match between Clarity Gaming and XO Gaming. It should be just awesome. And our first map here is going to be, let's see, WCS Daybreak. It's going to be Shu from Clarity Gaming against Korean Air from XO Gaming. And also, guys, our lovely observer and streamer tonight is Curran. You can check him out at Curran TV. KURN. Huge round of applause. But I'm very excited to cast. It's been a really busy week, and I have not had enough StarCraft. This is going to be good.
It's always good to get your weekly dose of StarCraft 2. And especially this game, when you told me we were going to be casting Clarity versus XO, I got pretty excited because I know I've seen quite a bit of XO, and I've heard a lot about Clarity, so I want to see both of these Titans bat heads as far as that goes.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be terrific. Guys, we are getting into the game now. And if you don't know, if this is your first time around the URTL train, Clarity did win last season, so they are the current champions, going to be defending their title throughout these group stages, and if they get to the playoffs, there as well. But we're loading into our first game. It's going to be a PVZ, and we're going to be here on Daybreak, and it's going to be excellent. PVZ, I think, is really fun. The late game can be a little crazy, but spawning in the lower left, playing for XO Gaming, he is the Red Zerg. He is Korean Air.
And spawning at the top right here, we have, as our blue Protoss, we have Clarity Shu spawning at the top right. And yeah, as you're saying, PVZ is especially cool in Heart of the Swarm. I think it's my favorite matchup. I've heard a lot of people say TVP is theirs, but PVZ is mine, maybe a little bit because I'm actually a Terran player. So whenever like a cheese happens or something, I don't like wince at it when I do in the Terran matchups, but this is my favorite for sure.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to have to agree with you there. Really entertaining to watch. Really entertaining to play from the Protoss side. I like it. There's not a whole lot of crazy stuff that can happen. Usually you will get to a nice mid-game or a very fun spot. Shu's style in particular, or at least the one I'm familiar with, could be pretty interesting to see here as well. It involves a quick 3 base and then 3 Stargates. We'll see if he does decide to go for that. Ooh. But that can be a lot of fun because it's a very scrappy game, because when a Zerg sees a fast third base, they're like, okay, I'm going to murder that third base to death with Hydralisk, and it gets very, very tight, very, very scrappy. So I hope we get into that stage. Right now, though, it looks like Shu is opting for a Gateway Expand, and his opponent not early pooling. That's pretty much the most we can tell right now.
So I have a question for you, Word. What does he actually go for with those 3 Stargates? Is it like Mass Phoenix, or like what?
It's Mass Void Ray. And the build in particular, he'll get +1 shields. I mean, it's off of Forge Fast Expand, so he might be mixing up a little bit here. But +1 shields, go immediately into air upgrades, and most Hydra Bust timings that'll happen on the 3rd are usually pretty holdable with a combination of 2 or 3 Void Rays, a Mothership Core, and some Sentry work. And we see some good blocking here at the natural, even with the 2 drones there. Probe getting a little weak, but does manage to get the pylon down, and probably going to try to block the 3rd. But not quite going to happen.
Yeah. So nice play from Korean Air, and we'll deal with this pylon. I'm curious to see if it will actually get cancelled. I mean, most likely, but yeah, there we go. I have seen 1 or 2 players leave that behind. So, and actually, yeah, once again, going back with that probe, trying to block just a little bit more. 4 Zerglings are on the way, so won't be able to block for too long here. And, I think Korean Air definitely wants to go for this third.
Yeah, that's for certain. Especially when you take your natural that far away, it's just even if you were thinking about doing some kind of 2-base play, usually this will spoil it. You just kind of end up having to take that 3rd. Shu definitely wants to keep this probe alive to confirm it, and he's actually going to mention sneak right past those Zerglings, get into the main, going to see if there's any gas taken down. And since there's no gas here, he can certainly confirm there's not going to be any aggression from his opponent. Korean Air, by the way, of course, perfectly aware that Shu hasn't Forge Fast expanded. Which is interesting that he hasn't taken gas, because most Zergs will take gas or even delay their 3rd as a result of that.
Yeah, as we could see, like some type of tech coming out of the Protoss player. But we are going to see, the Nexus coming down now. And what do you think the follow-up to this for Shu is going to be? Like, what type of tech do you think he's going to go into?
Well, as I mentioned, he definitely does like the Stargate tech. That's
Yeah.
I think he's going to go for. Going for a Stalker here right away, which is pretty interesting. I think what he really wants to do, since he saw no gas, he knows he can get some map control with that Stalker. So he's going to be out and about on the map, going to try to harass Zerglings. Wouldn't surprise me if he went for 2 Stalkers right away, honestly, because he can just deal with any amount of Zergling numbers with a wall off at the front. And since he knows the gas hasn't been taken, at least for a little while, he's going to be able to get away with a little bit delayed tech, spending the gas on the Stalkers. So for now, I think he's going to control the map with the Stalkers, but then probably move into Stargate tech, get the map control a little bit more solid through the mid game.
Very true, very true. And I don't know how much you've actually seen of that 3 Stargate style, but what do Zerg players tend to do to actually counter that if it does happen?
Well, they usually go for Hydras, in my experience, which, is kind of the knee-jerk reaction. It can work quite well depending on how you play the game. You usually won't see Mutas, just of course, your opponent's got Stargates, you can switch into Phoenix rather quickly. Usually Hydras, sometimes Swarm Hosts, really does depend on the map. I don't really like Swarm Hosts on Daybreak, because there's really only like one spot you can put them, and they're going to kind of get cornered depending on where you go. So I would like to see Hydras here. You can take the 4th base really quickly on Daybreak and defend it really easily with Hydralisk. So I think a macro sort of response is what's going to be best for Korean Air here.
Yeah, and we do see him right now getting on quite a few drones. Actually, not too far ahead. 7 drones on the way right now, but currently only 29 to 27. And as a Zerg player, you tend to want to be ahead in that drone count. So he's doing a pretty good job so far. And we don't see any tech coming out quite yet for the Zerg player right now. So pretty much just getting up his economy started.
Yeah, he's just playing it close to hand. And depending on when Shu does decide to take the 3rd, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see a quick 4th out of the Zerg. We're seeing Shu with a lot of sentries here.
Actually, I think he might push out off this, do you think? Because he's got that proxy pylon there up in the top left, and he just warped in quite a few sentries, and I know I've seen some force fields be super effective in this matchup.
Yeah, they really can, and the cool thing about the combination of this Mothership Core and Sentry is something you couldn't do before. Force field everything away, focus down a hatchery, and then just recall. Normally that sort of thing would cost you your army, or maybe not the hatchery with the DPS of the Sentries, but maybe some drones. In this case, with the recall, you can get away with that sort of play. It looks like he's going to be coming in here. A lot of sentries. Really, really good at this 3rd position on Daybreak. Only a couple force field needed to zone out everything, and that one spine crawler goes down very quickly. And yeah, he can just recall out of here when things get too hot, and he's going to be able to trap all these drones.
Oh man, there's only actually 12 Zerglings on the way here too. So Shu looking like he can do quite a bit of damage as there's so many sentries in that competition. And actually picking off even more Zerglings too. And he's not going to run out of force fields anytime soon.
Yeah, and this is the danger of not getting that speed, not getting that gas in the early game. He's going to be able to focus down this hatchery. He might not even have to use the recall. He can probably just get out of here, but he's going to continue to apply pressure while he has that freedom. And it's going to force Korean Air into a very defensive position. He's going to have to surround with these Zerglings. He's on creep, so he can go for it, but so many force fields.
Yeah, actually baiting out a couple down there at that ramp. I think the Zergling count might be getting a little bit high, but I think Shu can still deal with this with some nice force fields there. And it looks like he's going for surround, but actually just losing a lot of lings for this. Speed finally finishing up there. And, does he actually have enough to hold this, though?
It's going to be tough. A lot of speedlings, are the best defense, and the sentries are going to run out of energy eventually, but great force fields by Shu, losing a lot of speedlings there. The spine crawler has finished, so he can try to zone out this army a little bit, and force field wise, we actually only have 1 force field left on these sentries, so it looks like it might be time for Shu to recall out.
Yeah, I mean, he has done quite a bit of damage here, taking out that 3rd, killing off quite a few Zerglings, and it really hasn't lost anything at all, honestly. So definitely I agree with you. Pulling back could be an option. I think he might want to go for the jugular. Actually, no. Is going to recall, so nice play there from him.
Yeah, very good. He knew his battle. Now there's a lot of Zerglings out on the field, but he is going to scout with that pylon, and the counterattack just is not going to happen. There's too much of a wall here. However, the Zerg will be able to not deny the 3rd for a little while until Shu gets, a little bit more energy on these sentries. But that's not really a problem. I mean, he lost his own 3rd. Shu is perfectly comfortable being on 2 base versus 2 base. We're seeing Roach and Hydra tech out here for Korean Air. So I think he's probably going to be going Ling Hydra. The Roach one kind of thrown down as an emergency measure if the gateway pressure was to continue. But now that it's been recalled, I like this decision by the Zerg. Double expanding. He's going to try to catch up, and he's going to try to deny his opponent's 3rd as long as possible.
Yeah, I was going to say, Protoss does have 1-1 on the way, so we'll be a little bit ahead in the upgrade count for now. But yeah, definitely starting up that double Evo chamber. Won't be too far behind. And actually, we're seeing Hydralisk speed coming out here for the Zerg player. So looking like he wants to invest quite heavily in the Hydralisk. And right now, I think it's a good decision as we're seeing Immortals come out for a Protoss player and not a lot of splash tech out quite yet.
Yeah, and this is that dangerous timing when these Hydralisks do come out. It's been delayed by Shu's aggression, and now we do have a hallucinated Phoenix coming in, so he's going to scout, he's going to see the Hydralisks, and he's going to be able to, go into Colossi accordingly. We do have a Twilight Council on the way, but a lot of links coming in here. Not really going to do a whole lot, though, but the creep on the third base, very nice from Korean Air.
And, I mean, Korean Air might have a little bit of an opportunity here to drone up. As you're saying, actually 14 drones in production there per second. So definitely wanting to get his economy back. But we're seeing actually another Zealot Warp in here from Shu with that top left pylon that's still there from that early poke. And definitely going to be pulling his opponent away from his third.
Yeah, that's very nice. Korean Air was definitely trying to focus on denying that third, putting as much pressure on it as he can. Now he needs to bring all these Lings back. These Zealots going to try to focus down this hatch. They do have 1-1 to the Zerglings 0-0, so they can actually be really annoying to these Zerglings. And they should be able to take... I'm not sure if this hatchery is actually going to survive. Oh, transfuses. There we go.
Okay, so it will survive, but it has been brought down to about 350 health. So another Zealot Warp in later could kill that off, but looks like the Zerg player is going to find this proxy pylon here, maybe, question mark. He did see it, so should take that out for sure.
Yeah, definitely will be going for that. Interesting choice going into the Roaches here. Okay, now we're seeing Hydralisk in production because he is getting that range. He did get that Hydralisk speed, so he's definitely going to be gearing up for an attack. I wonder if he's just going to be waiting for Max, throw away an easily maxed Roach Hydra army, then use his bank to make something up behind it. Shu right now, tech-wise, he's going straight for Templar, which against a Roach Hydra army, not as useful as Colossi.
Right.
These Storms, obviously good against the Hydralisk, but the Roaches, they eat Storms for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yep, very, very true. And actually, we're seeing an Infestation Pit finishing up here for a Zerg player, so potentially transitioning into Swarm Hosts after this push, or what do you think?
Swarm Host, Hydra, I don't know. I don't usually see a lot of Swarm Hosts unless you kind of get them early on it. I mean, we do see he's going right for the Hive here, so it looks like he just wants that stepping stone onto the tech. So I'm guessing it's going to be Hydra, Roach, Viper. Upgrade-wise, we see the 1-1 is done, so he's investing a lot into this tech. It's probably going to be his late-game plan. It should be pretty good, because Roach Hydra Viper is great for denying a fourth base on Daybreak. If the Protoss ventures out too far, it's very easy to grab those valuable units with that Viper, which is also why Shu isn't going for Colossi here, because they are such a liability. The Storm is going to be a little bit better use, but he definitely is going to have to worry about the timing attack from Korean Air once he gets maxed out.
Yeah, I know I've seen a couple players do some crazy stuff with Swarm Hosts on this map, just because of like the 3 chokes in the middle of the map, where you can just like Spine Crawler like a Maniac and Spore Crawler. But, this is definitely a safer composition, more standard composition. But actually, we're seeing the Protoss player looking like he wants to push out with, hopefully waiting for 2-2, as when that happens, he will be on 2-2 compared to his opponent's 1-1. And actually, we see him adding on 2 Stargates now behind this as well.
Yeah, this will be actually a strong attack. There's only 5 Hydralisks out, and those are the real threat to this army, and they're just not strong enough. These 3 Immortals are going to shred the Roaches, and like you said, this upgrade advantage is going to be huge. I'm actually a little bit worried for Korean Air here. We also have a Zealot Warpin in the main. Very nice diversive tactic.
Meanwhile, there is a Zergling counterattack trying to get something done here, but what's actually going to deal with this huge army at the front for Shu right now? Looks like the Zergling counterattack is being stopped by the single Zealot there, nice positioning there, and just so much damage being done here by Shu.
Yeah, this is really good, because this isn't an attack you usually see. Usually, in the mid-game, the Protoss is not going to push out without Splash, but because of that recall, you have a lot more freedom, and especially with low Hydra numbers, he's not going to lose that Mothership Core, and it's working out very well for Shu. Anti-timings can sometimes be the scariest for Zergs. Now we're going to see the engagement, and Shu might have to pull back here. There's a lot of Hydras and no way to deal with them, so we could be seeing a recall.
Yeah, so definitely did get what he needed to get done, though. He did manage to take out that fourth, and did quite a bit of damage to the natural in the meanwhile as well. So nice poke there from Shu. Didn't actually lose too much. So a nice trade there from him. And moving into that double Stargate production off of Void Rays, as you were saying earlier. He does like his Stargate play.
He does. It's going to be a strong late transition. We are seeing these Zealots getting warped into the main now, pulling this army back yet again. This lone Zealot in the center of the map, left behind by that recall, but he is just kind of a very valuable sentry. He's actually going to be able to scout that 4th base, it looks like. And once Shu gets a good number of Void Rays out, we're seeing the 3-3 is on the way. He's got Blink for these Stalkers as well, so he's looking for a very diverse, very strong late-game army that the Zerg isn't really going to know what to deal with. The Zerg is going to have to react perfectly, and Roach Hydra Viper is a strong composition, but Templar deal pretty well with these Vipers, so it's going to come down to reaction time, the micro, and really this army is just going to be able to trade so much more efficiently for the Protoss.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how this does actually turn out. I've never seen this type of battle before, to be honest. And should be very interesting here. Protoss player trying to take his 4th now, and looking pretty safe doing so, other than the fact that he doesn't really have the Colossi splash. He does have quite a few High Templar, so we'll have enough splash to probably deal with any Hydralisk coming out of Korean Air. And both players kind of posturing here. Looks like Shu just wanting to clean up some creep tumors and then going back home.
Yep, he could feed back these Vipers, though. Looks like we do see a Yank. Very nice, but he loses 3 Vipers for it. And for, these Templar Force Move and Archon, that's pretty good there, but, pretty good force fields. Actually, a good portion of those units do slip through, so now Shu is going to be playing on the defensive. A lot of cannons going down here, though, and they are very useful for this defensive position. War Prism at the top, going to be taking out this 5th base, possibly forcing a cancel.
Yeah, nice play there from him, keeping active out on the map with those Zealots. And, I'm curious to see why Shu hasn't added on Colossi into this competition. Are they, not favorable in this competition, or just too expensive, or what?
It's got to be the Vipers. Barely saves that hatchery, my goodness. But the Vipers, they just make it too easy for the Colossi to be nabbed. It's better to dump your gas into Templar, something to feed back the Vipers, something that's a little bit harder for them to snatch, because the Colossi, you're going to be lucky if it gets 1 or 2 swipes. And the Zealots are going to finish off that hatchery as the Warp Prism does survive. We see he's adding on a DT Shrine here. Great for the late game mix. Korean Air going into Ultralisks, which is, against the Storm composition is going to be good. The Immortal count hasn't been beefed up since, but there are Void Rays in the air, and that's something you got to be very aware of. But he's hoping he can use the Vipers. I mean, these are good contrasting compositions. You can certainly win with either composition. It's just going to come down to those abducts and those feedbacks.
Yeah, very intense here. Both players just kind of posturing up, neither really wanting to take the risk of engaging at the moment. You see our Zerg player finishing up actually ground carapace level 2 right now, and about halfway through level 3. So behind right now on the upgrades, and I think it's in his advantage right now to wait, as we do see Shu moving towards his 4th base.
Yeah, this attack's going to be very strong. DT warping in the main as well. Going to be distracting Korean Air quite a bit. These Stalkers going to blink ahead a little bit to get some vision on the army. He really wants to be able to feed back those Vipers. Nice yanks on those Void Rays, getting everything in the air. The Storms do go down. And these valuable units are going to be left, not before a Time Warp goes down, though. But there doesn't seem to be a lot left for Shu. The Templar are staying in the back where they're safe, but that means they can't get a lot more Storms down.
Oh, there we go. Finally a Storm starting to hit this Hydralisk. I was going to say that there were some decent Storms there, but none of them really hitting any of the Hydralisks there. So those, as you were saying, are the main bulk of the damage from the Zerg player. So those not being taken out very quickly is bad for Protoss. And looks like the DTs, does barely get that Hive. Nice snipe there from him, and actually the 4th base can go down here as well. So Zerg knocked down to 2 bases.
Yeah, that is very nice there by Shu. Again, these diversion tactics so strong. Ultralisk going to come out. It is going to absorb a lot of that Storm. We got Void Rays and Immortals here. Ultralisk not going to last very long. It does go down. A lot of Hydralisk to back it up, though, and it looks like Shu is going to have to retreat. Going to try to blink ahead and snipe some of those valuable units. Void Ray just barely survives.
Yeah, he did lose quite a few of those valuable units. No High Templar left there. 1 Archon. And quite a few Void Rays did die in that fight, but meanwhile, he managed to take out quite a few bases and actually forced the cancel on this top base here as well, keeping his opponent on a really low.
Yeah, it's looking like this. The strength of Shu's play here is these multi-pronged attacks. His army getting dealt with pretty handily in these direct engagements, but it's the what's going on behind the scenes, these Zealot Warpins, these DT Warpins, killing the tech, killing the hatcheries, that are really putting Korean Air at a disadvantage. Meanwhile, Shu is able to build up the strong army, get these Templar to gather this energy. He is going to be storm ready in a little bit. Lost a lot of Void Rays, though. The Roach Hydra army looking strong.
He actually lost his Ultralisk Cavern. I don't know if there's another one somewhere, but right now, I don't think he can make any more Ultralisks. And wow, actually going to lose this base here as well, as there's no detection there either. And that ups him down to 1 actual base. How many hatcheries does he actually have? Actually only 1 hatchery, so almost no production here. And when you have no production, what you want to build is Ultralisks, and he can't build Ultralisks anymore, so he's in a very tight pickle here.
That was a very good snipe there by Shu. It looks like he's going to try to come in, picks off this Void Ray. Nice abduct there. The Templar count, not amazingly high. He wants to save this energy for Storms, and that was a good Storm, doing a lot of damage there. But it's just such a hard position to charge, but Korean Air knows he's got to make something happen.
Yeah, the Infestation Pit went down as well there, and here comes the engagement. Some nice pulls there from the Vipers, but I don't know if it's going to be enough.
And it looks like Korean Air doesn't think so either, and GG goes down. Looks like Shu's going to take this first game in Clarity Gaming versus XO Gaming. And it's going to bring it 1-0 in favor of Clarity. Guys, this is a best of 7 every URTL match if you've been watching through the season. Best of 7 all the way through, so first to 4 will be the victor. Shu is going to be going up against the next player for XO, but that was a fun game. Shu was so aggressive, and you just can be that aggressive because of that Mothership Core.
Yeah, he was aggressive and patient at the same time, making sure that his attacks were well planned out with counterattacks, and the DT warp-ins and the zealot harassment just everywhere pretty much slowly killed